Parish President remarks, Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman Belloc. All right, I did want to introduce Joe Crafassi, who works for Senator Kennedy's office, but I think he had to step out. He'll be at the next meeting, but Senator Kennedy does have a staffer who comes to these meetings now. And again, his name is Joe Crafassi. We'll get him introduced to all of you all if you have any questions for a federal rep. Okay, COVID report. Okay. Today, LDH reported that since its inception, we've had 4,629 cases, as well as 79 deaths related to COVID-19. Since the last time I reported to the council, we've added an additional of 551 cases. So cases have definitely spiked, and there has been, unfortunately, 4 additional deaths due to COVID-19. The positivity rate for the last 2 weeks is 13.7 and 11.3 respectively, covering the weeks of December 31st through January 7th. Today I participated in a COVID-19 vaccination update with Oshner and Jake Lemon. That went very well. We answered people's questions about the vaccine, and I guess I'll take the time real quick to just talk about the vaccine. So we did talk about a lot of the myths associated with the vaccine. The vaccine for Pfizer and Moderna are both mRNA vaccines. That's messenger ribonucleic acid. You aren't being injected COVID-19 like you are with the flu. Flu vaccines are actually raised in chicken eggs, and you're given a weakened form of the flu so your body can easily fight it off. The COVID-19 vaccine contains no COVID-19 cells in it. It is basically that messenger ribonucleic acid, which is called mRNA, is injected into your body. It's basically a program. It's a set of instructions that your body can follow to fight the COVID-19. It basically replicates the protein spike that's found in COVID-19 and teaches your body how to fight it off. So did want to kind of continue busting some of those myths. You probably heard that Oshner has had to push back a lot of their appointments to administer the vaccine. They did that because the vaccine supply has dropped off by about 70%. I think this is a statewide issue. It's not just St. Charles Parish. It's actually a nationwide issue as well. They have reserved enough vaccines to be able to give everybody who's received their first vaccine their second dose. You might be wondering if the parish is going to play any role in this. There are a couple of vaccines that are coming to the market. One of those is AstraZeneca, and one of those is Johnson & Johnson. Now, these don't have the same requirements as the refrigeration requirements, and these are single-dose vaccines. They still have a couple of hurdles to get through with the Food and Drug Administration, but we should expect to see those in the next couple of months coming online. Once we get more and more vaccines online, you'll start to see the vaccinations just really flying through. In fact, when we had a decent supply, we were running through a lot of those vaccines with our local healthcare providers. If we get to the point we're on calls with LDH and GOSEF every day, there is a potential for us to do a pod, which is a point of distribution. Of course, you can't do it right now with the current vaccines because of the storage requirements, and it's 2 doses, so you got to get everybody who's came through your pod in there again, and you got to watch them after they get the vaccine for about 10 minutes. So there's a potential that Lang, which is the Louisiana National Guard, might set up with LDH some strike teams. So you might see something similar to what happened with the Hahnville High School COVID-19 testing site. But this is a moving target. We're going to be here to provide any logistical support that we can. But of course, we can't administer shots. We have to have qualified individuals to do that. So just wanted to clear that up. If anybody has any questions about the vaccine, I can maybe answer it if I haven't covered any of your concerns. Today, Luling Volunteer Fire Department will begin, or they have begun, to work on their hydrant testing. This process is going to take approximately 2 weeks with the goal of 22 hydrants per day. The Volunteer Fire Department requires additional manpower and resources to execute this mandatory project, and it could potentially lower insurance premiums. Every year they go in and look at a series of tests and scoring to score a volunteer fire department and a professional fire department's ability to lower the fire insurance ratings. Also, Mr. Dufresne, I have spoke with Gregory Gordon. He should be reaching out to you soon to set up a meeting to look at the hydrants over in DeSalmons and your concerns. Last week, we partnered with Oshner to host a blood drive with a national blood supply shortage due to COVID-19. I'd like to thank all of our residents who participated and encourage them and others to continue to donate in the future. We're looking at different days and times for residents to donate in the upcoming months. We're going to have I think it's Friday, correct? We're going to have an employee blood drive Friday. And if there's any open spots, we can maybe allow our council members to get in. Is that possible?
Email with the sign-up information. It'll be in the EOC through their mobile unit.
Yep. So if you're interested in doing that, that'll be this Friday. Today I had the opportunity to tour the United Way River Parish's Community College on Highway 90. What an excellent building. It came out beautifully. And we're incredibly thankful to the United Way for putting that together. It's going to be a great asset to our community. And we look forward to the invaluable resources that it's going to provide to our residents. I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate our Assistant Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, Kenny Guidry, who was recently named the Team Louisiana head swim coach for the June 2022 Special Olympics in Orlando. So a big congratulations to him, and what a great thing to have someone from St. Charles Parish representing us at the Special Olympics as a coach. Okay, job openings. We're currently looking for an equipment operator 1. To see all employment opportunities within the parish, please visit www.stcharlesparish-la.gov/scpworks. We'll now move into a public works update. First, over the past couple of weeks, we have been doing employee training for public works, government buildings, recreation, and getting folks trained on things like chainsaw safety, excavator training, even simple things about, driver training and things like that. So they've spent a lot of time doing that. That's something that we're going to continue to promote. And we did that with the new benefits from LWCC. Let's see. All right. Let's talk about the dirt from the diversion. So we've located a large amount of dirt in the Davis Pond diversion. And we have started excavating it and bringing it to the community center. It's thousands of yards of dirt. I want to be clear, we didn't dredge the diversion. This was dirt that was just sitting on the side. So we went and took that dirt, and we're putting it to use for the community center. So we're going to put it all over there and build up that area around the community center as much as possible. And we look forward to that cost savings for our future Veterans Memorial. So we're pushing forward with that, getting everything ready to go in hopes that we can have a quick construction time. Still waiting on getting the plans from the engineer on that project. All right, Destrehan UV project. You've probably heard us talk about this a couple of times. That work is going in. And Miles, when was it scheduled to be completed?
I think it's still got a couple months. They're just getting started with they're breaking everything out, and they're getting started with the UV installation.
Yep, and this project will save us money, less chemicals we have to use, and should help us process our waste at that plant much better. Okay, Luling Pond, if we're talking about sewage still, we have started the process of the Luling Pond rehabilitation. If you recall, the council did approve this contract some months ago. This pond has never once been dredged since the 1970s, I believe, when it was created. We definitely got our money's worth out of it. We're going to dredge it and get it back into a better condition and hopefully keep it in good shape for many more years into the future. All right, moving on. We have the culverts in Ormond. You probably saw us talking about this on Facebook. This is the culvert crossing under Plantation Road. To the right would be the entrance to the Ormond Nursing Home. To the left is how you get out to Ormond Boulevard. There was one 84-inch culvert there, and what Miles noticed is that during heavy rain events, you have a wide canal going into a very small culvert, respectively. I mean, it is a big culvert, but not big enough for that canal. So we had a project to add two 72-inch 72-inch pipes, and that should significantly improve the flow through that intersection right there. So we're excited about that. We don't want to see it in action, but we hope that if it ever comes, it does its job. Plantation Road in Hawnville. I'm sorry, this is the Matisse Ditch in Hawnville. You might have saw coming in that we've excavated a ditch that probably hadn't been excavated in some time, probably before I was born. And we took that dirt and spread it out, but that is going to drain. You see the area in red. It might be hard to see if you might have a copy of the presentation, but the area in red is what we excavated, and we're going to look at getting access to the stuff in the back there, that blue line in the back, to make sure that's all clean. But that'll help the folks right there in the trailer park. It'll help alleviate some water at the top of Fashion, and it'll help alleviate water off of River Road. So we're excited to see that moving through. Okay. Shaw Street in Hawnville. We've been cleaning out pipes all over District 1, and this was clearing a blockage under Shaw Street. Next. All right, Schoolhouse Road in Kelowna. We recently just swept the ditches along there to improve and reestablish some conveyance along that road. Plantation Road, right here in Hawnville again. Again, reestablishing ditches where they've seemed to kind of shallow out. All right, going over to St. Rose, some of the same thing, reestablishing drainage on Oak Manor, getting those ditches sloped properly and getting them to flow in the right direction away from the River Road. You've probably seen us clearing a lot of trees on Airline Highway, parallel to Airline Highway. Now after that tree clearing has been had been done, they're going back in and excavating that ditch. That's part of a larger project with the shell ditch for our at-larges and our Norco representative. So the shell ditch, and as well as the ditch going all the way back to Trepanier Pump Station. Next. Sewage Master Plan, we pretty much have Phase 1 complete. And I'm going to take a second to allow Miles to talk about kind of what Phase 2 will encompass. Phase 2 will be some monitoring and event monitoring.
Phase 2, yeah, as Matt said, this is a phase where we're going to look for what is causing the infiltration into the system. So what we do is we do some flow monitoring. We look at areas where we run water through it, test to see what's happening with the flow through those sewers, and find where we have leakage into the system, which is groundwater. It tends to spike during big storms. We actually use our sewer system as a drainage system during our sewer. So that's this. They'll also be, once they identify some areas, then they'll move on to what they call smoke testing and other dye testing, where they can actually use methods to find the actual leaks in the system. So that's the next step.
Okay, thank you, Miles. As Miles mentioned, Phase 1, they collected all the background information, they performed some sewer modeling and performed some tests, and they also identified that infiltration, some of those infiltration points. Phase 2, smoke testing, more monitoring of I guess, strategic lift stations, and David DeGeneres is working with them very closely to identify those major lift stations and those strategic lift stations. The last phase will ultimately, Phase 3 will show us the improvements that are recommended, kind of like drainage studies do. Drainage master plan, we're going to talk about a little, an update. On the East Bank, Muntz is 90% complete. Norco is 40% complete. I actually got to see the existing conditions model for Norco and see like a 25-year rain event, 100-year rain event run, showing the problem areas. And it was interesting to see. So now they're getting probably just refining that model a little bit, and then they're going to be working on the solutions portion of that. So we'll get something rather soon, around the April-May, I think we said April-May timeframe, to have all of these months, Norco, New Sarpy, and Ormond. That's moving along nicely. West Bank, The existing conditions model has been completed, and they're also working in the AMA Cellars area. That was completed last week, so more areas to follow on that. I think we have a meeting tomorrow. A meeting tomorrow with the West Bank folks, so we should be able, for the next council meeting, get you exact percentages on where they are with each of these areas, the Hahnville, AMA area. Remember that they had a little bit less to work off of on the West Bank, so it is taking a little longer than the East Bank is. And that's the end of my report. I'll take any questions. I also mentioned that from last year and up till currently, we've been really pumping through a lot of the council requests and getting a lot of those completed. We're working on refining those lists and getting an updated list for Michelle to share with you all. But we have been prioritizing for the past couple of months the council requests and getting them done.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Wait, 1 second. Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you all for the work that has been going on in District 1. The question that I have is the way you are digging the Matisse Ditch area, is it possible, or when will the 40 Arpin area be clean, or is it going to be clean the same way, or we have to wait for something, or what?
So I had a conversation with Mr. Chris Trigg. In 2019, they had a permit and they did clean the 40 Arpin Canal. Miles, anything to expand on that?
This is an area, again, where we're one of the big issues that we've had is looking at all of our permits and making sure that we have permits up to date so that we can go do some of the work. That was sort of outsourced. We're now bringing it in-house so we have better control over it. This is one of those ones that we're in the process of looking at. And we do our watershed reviews with, all of these things are in. And as soon as we are sure that we have permits, we're going to go ahead and get these things dug. We also have to make sure that we have the right-of-way, access on these as well. Because some of these things run through private land. We've been doing a really good job, particularly along the railroad tracks, of going to the property owners and talking to them and the railroad so that we have the access we need. We're going to do the same thing with a lot of the ditches that go through the properties on the south side of the railroad tracks.
Again, my understanding is that in sometime in 2019, the 40 Arpin Canal was cleaned. I know that there was a resident who was concerned about that as well. I did have Chris, and he's going to send one of his crews out to go inspect just to make sure that there's nothing has changed. We did have a couple of storms. We want to make sure that there's no major obstructions in the canal, such as downed trees or whatnot. So they are going to go in and relook at it.
Okay, thank you. And I have seen some work done in the Booty area as well, and I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Ordinances, resolution.